Hi, it's Rabbi Paul again. Those of you who are watching through oramilive.com, you won't be seeing your picture up on the screen because you're actually just seeing a live stream of this. If you go to the other link and go directly through Zoom, then you will see your picture up here. Both of them are fine. No one's going to be commenting. There are only a few speakers who will be speaking, but I just wanted to give you that option. Okay, and again, we won't be starting till about 7:30. So I'm going to go back on mute, and I thank you. But again, if you've gone through, if you signed on through YouTube or on, or if you signed in through oramilive.com, that's why you won't be seeing your camera. And so that includes, just since I know who those are, that includes Robert Gunther, S. Pine, Ronald Caspi, Terry Abrams, and Baal Grual. You all went through Orami Live, which is just perfectly fine. I'll see you in a little bit. Thank you.
Doing gum seeds?
Mans.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, babe. Where are
Hi,
you,
Paul
Logan?
Gunther.
Hi. Where's Logan?
In the other room, but you know you are on audio and video chat, right?
What does that mean?
I'll call you.
No, I'm talking to you.
You're supposed to be on mute, Rob.
I know.
Rabbi,
Someone's got to mute all the participants.
Amanda?
Rabbi Paul will do that.
Amanda Klein. Amanda Klein.
Hi. Mom on it? Hi, Adam. It's Steve Klein.
Hi, Steve. How's it going?
I haven't seen you in a long time, buddy. You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. How are you?
I'm all right. You living in New York?
I am. That's where I'm at right now.
Okay. You turned out to look just like your father. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hey, Dad.
Mute. Sharon and Jerry Simon.
Susie,
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Steve.
Audrey.
who am I
Hi,
missing?
Audrey.
Hi. I don't know who's saying hi. I can hear you all, but
Rivers.
oh, hi. Hi, guys.
Hi,
Susie?
Brooke and Ike.
Okay, we're muting. Okay.
Never would I think we would do this.
Looking at the screen and
I don't know what I'm doing.
Hi, whoever said hi, or hi, everybody.
Where's my son? Adam, are you there?
Hi, Mom.
Hi, honey.
Hi, guys.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Oh, there you are, Adam. Hi, Lenny.
Hi, honey. How are you? Hey, Freddie.
Hi, Deborah Fury, Sharon and Jerry Simon.
Oh, hi, Eddie.
Hi. I don't know if you can hear.
Sorry, Adam. Because maybe they can't see us because we're on.
Can you guys hear us?
yep, we can hear you.
We can hear you, Rich.
Hey, Rich.
Hey,
Rich.
Rich.
Hear us?
And Joel.
Danny and Joel.
Yes, who said that?
Eddie.
Eddie did.
Hi,
Hello,
Eddie.
hello, Joel.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello, Groupers.
Who keeps ringing the doorbell?
Hello.
People that are coming on.
Coming in. Hi, Kathy.
Oh, there's Robert and Lori.
Hey, Ricky.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
I'm not doing this right.
What
I
can,
could hear you, Kathy. So you did it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think they can hear us, but I don't think they can see us. Venus or Mars are just gonna.
yeah, there's 100 people,
Oh. There's over 100 people now.
115.
Wow.
115 people.
What do you
18.
yeah.
Oh, hi, Rabbi Wendy.
What do you think? What do you think?
She doesn't see.
You want to see? You want to see?
Hey, baby Maya.
Hi. Say hi, Nana.
Can you guys hear us?
Yeah, you're gonna have to mute out the background noise though.
I don't have any background noise here.
It's, I do Zoom meetings all the time for work. If everybody needs to turn off their microphone, if everyone hits mute, then we can hear.
But there's a way the host can do it so you don't have people logging in and interrupt.
Meetings all the time for work. Right, but if they don't, everyone should just mute and have something to say. And then-
But Maria, it doesn't stop the people who
Hi,
come in late.
everybody. Hi, everybody. It's Rabbi Paul. I'm going to ask everyone to mute now. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. I appreciate it. Okay, Heidi, are you on? Okay, Heidi, are you on? What does that say? I don't know. Just keep advertising this stupid thing. 140 participants.
Wow. That's quite a lot.
Stop video, mute, click if you want to switch to a different microphone or speaker. Just kind of looking at the invite. Should be starting now.
Yeah.
Gallery here.
Maybe we see that thing up there with the four blue squares.
Yeah.
There's Jeff. Jeff is not muted. No, not that one.
Terry, you have to mute.
Okay. Stop.
Rabbi, if you click participants, you could mute all incoming callers so they can't unmute.
The mute button is on the far left, on the bottom. If you look at the bottom menu, it's on the left.
Hi, everybody. This is Rabbi Paul Kipnis. Thank you for being here. We're going to start just in a little bit. I want to remind everybody that at all times in this service, I'm going to ask that you be muted unless I specifically call on you to speak. The chat box was supposed to be disabled. I'm going to ask that people not use it. Okay. It will be distracting and also of concern. Thank you all for observing that. Thanks to the help of our incredible office staff and Jacob Bronstein of LiveControl.io. We can be participating in this in two ways, both on Zoom and through oramilive.com. Those of you who signed on through oramilive.com probably will not be able to have your face seen on this because you're watching a picture of this, a video of this. Those who went directly on through Zoom will see it. I want to remind those who are there are two views to watch when you're in Zoom. One is called the gallery view, and that's where you have a checkerboard of X number of boxes of different faces. There's also one called speaker view, and that just shows whoever's speaking. Now, for people on computers, that thing to change is usually on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Peter. For those of you on iPads and phones, it's a little different. I want to thank everybody for your, on behalf of the family, I want to thank everybody for your overwhelming support of Heidi and Brandon and Blake, the whole family. This has been a very challenging, very difficult experience, as you can imagine, compounded by what's going on in this country, compounded by the need of the family to self-quarantine until they know if they're carrying the virus, as so many in our communities are. I want you to know that today, today we lay Brian to rest in the cemetery. I went as rabbi and friend, but as rabbi, but Brian wasn't alone. His representing the family was his brother-in-law Todd and sister-in-law Beth and Jake and Jake's girlfriend. We were there. We made sure that he was tucked in warmly and lovingly. No one left until he was fully covered in the sacred earth. There will be a time that that the rest of the family will be able to go when this moves forward, and it's safe, and we'll have a reconsecration service for them there. And in about a month or so, we will have a memorial service where it will be more like a funeral and a memorial service. But we want to hold on that until everybody can be together, till we can hug each other and hold each other, and Heidi and the family can receive your hugs and love. The family wants me to make sure to thank you all profoundly. The pain that they feel at not having you there is similar to the pain you feel. You are friends, you are coworkers, you are business partners, you are community members, you are a whole slew of people, family who should be around with each other. And that is the challenge of this time during this pandemic. And so we need to be together apart, being together even as we are separated by distance. To give you a sense of today's service, it's going to be officiated by Rabbi Paul Kipnis, that's me, and Cantor Doug Kotler. Rabbi Julia Weiss is also with us. There will be songs and prayers that I will put up on the screen. There will be a small number of speakers speaking only for about 3 minutes each. It was difficult to figure out how to go forward. And so for this Minyan, they are a group of guys primarily from the synagogue who, from Congregation RME, who represent a plethora of experiences. There will be other opportunities at other times, still to be determined, for people to continue to share stories. And I hope everybody will take some time to put pen to paper, or better, to put thumbs to smartphone or fingers to keyboard, and send Heidi or whoever else you're in touch with in the family some stories, some beautiful memories of Brian. Making sure to highlight what makes him so beautiful, so wonderful, so such that you hold on to him. With that, again, I want to remind everybody, please stay muted. Please do not use the chat feature. And thank you for being here to honor Brian. And so with that, I introduce Cantor Doug Kotler. I will put up many of the songs that we're going to be doing. Not this one, but we begin. Cantor Doug Kotler, please unmute.
Esanai el harim mehayin yavo ezri ezri meim Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. I lift my voice when all is dark into God's hands. I place my heart beyond of Kidruchi. I'm not afraid. Adonai li. I lift my eyes when all is night, when I need help. I seek God's light. Lo echsar Adonai rohi. I'm not afraid. Adonai li. I'm not afraid. Adonai li.
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary.
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for
when we gather like this, our hearts are broken. Our minds scream out for understanding. Just last week, he was with us. Just 2 weeks ago, he called us, called out to us, connected with us. Not long ago, we were having a drink or watching a game, going for a walk, working together. It doesn't make sense.
Rabbi, would you please
Yes.
put your video back on, please?
There I am. We are bereft. There's so much we want to do for Brian's family. There's so much we want to do just to be with community. And we are doing it by being here. When I think of Brian, I think of a story, an old Hasidic story of Rebbe Nachman Kosover, who was a friend of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidism. Rebbe Nachman believed that the proper way to live a holy life was to constantly contemplate the four-letter name of God, Yud He Vav He, that name that means was, is, will be, that name that encompasses existence, that we often call Adonai. And we could see that name, he taught Rebbe Nachman, by trying to imagine God's name written always in front of us. Now, Rebbe Nachman was a preacher. And so when he looked out at an audience, he saw in each and every face the reflection of the divine, of the Holy One. Now, as happens, times change. And the preacher was forced to become a merchant in order to survive. In the marketplace, with the rapid pace of the buying and the selling and the negotiating, he found it hard always to concentrate on the holiness in life, the holiness in the people in front of him, God's name around him. So you know what he did? He hired an assistant, a special assistant, whose job it was to follow him everywhere he went. People thought that he was taking notes about what kind of deals it should be. Others thought he was remembering who the deals were being made with. Others thought he was just there to ensure that Nachman got to where he needed to and then to the next place. But the person's job was really simple. That every so often during the midst of the negotiations, his job was to turn and get into the face right there of Reb Nachman. Even if it interrupted negotiations, his job was to remind Reb Nachman that whenever he looked forward, he would see the face of the Holy One. When I heard that story, I smiled because my experience with Brian is he was a guy who would get in your face. Sometimes it was to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Sometimes it was to offer you a drink. He used to share with me some really great tequila and good conversation, of course. Maybe it was to talk about the game or about politics, or to kfel about his boys or his family, to share his love for his wife, Heidi. Whatever it was, he was there in your face, and he was always looking to see that goodness, that holiness, that beauty that came forth from the other. He connected to the Holy One in many ways, but Brian especially did it by collecting people, by bringing them to the house, sometimes by letting Heidi know they were coming first, other times showing up and saying, "What can we have to eat?" And she put out a spread. We remember him today, this beautiful man, husband to Heidi, father to Brandon and Blake, son to Marilyn and the late Bill, brother to Sherry, brother-in-law to Todd and Beth, uncle to Jake and Emma, son-in-law, but like a son, to Fred and to Fran. Dear family friend, so connected with Alicia, and someone who bonded with all of you who are here today, celebrating and working, almost 200 and plus people gathered together here. We remember this man because he touched our hearts and souls, and he reminded us what love and life and goodness was. I'm going to invite a number of speakers, and when I call your name, you'll unmute. If you want to see the speaker, I remind you, those who have the ability to do so, go into speaker mode, speaker view. On computers, it's the upper right-hand corner, and you'll see that speaker. And speakers, I thank you for taking only 3 minutes. Thereafter, I will lovingly help you by keeping the time and moving towards muting. So for our first speaker, I'd like to invite his friend, Fred Gruber, also a past president of Congregational RME. Fred, will you unmute, please?
Yep. How do you honor the loss of your best friend, your brother? Yes, Brian was like a brother to me. We've known each other for over 30 years, and Brian and Heidi are the reason that we're part of the Orme community. Brian and I had many things that connected us together. One is our library of selfies. Between us, we've got a ton. We took those selfies to memorialize our time together. We both felt that making time was important. To be able to look back and remember what was going on at various points in our life would be cool. One moment that I remember vividly was when we were in Italy. We were wandering about the outskirts of the Colosseum in the Campitelli on the Palatine Hill. There was a bird standing on top of a pillar and was just prancing about. Tons of people watching and taking pictures of and with the bird. Brian and I were taking in the sights, which afforded us a breathtaking view of the countryside, and decided to take one of our selfies with the bird. What is most poignant about this picture is the smile, the laughter that is evident in Brian's face. That's the Brian I remember and will always remember. He was always full of life, filled the room with his warmth, compassion, and good nature. I loved Brian for these traits and so many more. I miss you, Brian, beyond anything I can share here. You will always be close to me in my heart. Thank you.
I remind you to mute again. I'd like to call forth his friend, Jeff Hennis. Jeff, if you'll speak and unmute.
You know, I was sitting at my desk today wondering to myself, what do you say about such an incredible human being? He was loving, giving, caring, fun, charismatic of a human being. That was my buddy, Brian. We quickly became part of the Padveen family and then a part of our family. Brian was an incredible husband and he worshiped Heidi in the ground she walked on. I had lunch with Brian about 2 weeks ago, and all he could talk about was his two incredible sons and how proud he was of them. Brian's laughter when we were drinking scotch or tequila was just incredible. We laughed, smoked a cigar too, and believed we could solve the world's problems after feeling no pain from the scotch and tequila. And hope to God we didn't get sick from drinking too much. I can tell you that when it came to barbecuing or entertaining at his home, Brian couldn't have been happier having his friends and family there. He had those special rubs for the chicken and beef. It wasn't too happy sharing the rub recipe. To get the information from him was like asking for the lock code to a nuclear bomb. Just kidding, but that's what it was like. Brian's the type of man who would give you the shirt off his back and bend over backward to make somebody happy or put a smile on someone's face. If someone was hungry, he would make sure that this meal was paid for. Such a mensch. He knew the right things to do and he did them. I will miss him along with his acts of kindness and warmth to everyone. Brian, my brother, I know that you're out of pain and I know that you're looking down on all of us as you smile upon us. knowing you left a little bit of yourself for all of us to carry through the rest of our lives. I love you, brother. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to call forward his friend, Ike Pra. Ike, if you'll unmute.
I'm truly honored to be participating in this Minyan for Brian. What was it like to be in Brian's world? He was truly fearless, as evident even while undergoing all his treatments. He was able to find adventure in everything. He was not only vibrant, he was a giver, a true friend, a listener, and most importantly, he had a tremendous enthusiasm for life, finding adventure in every aspect. He was truly larger than life. Brooke and I immediately knew that we're dealing with a warm, sensitive, and quality friend. Heidi and Brian always welcomed you into their home with open arms and an abundance of food and beverage. We were always so appreciative and grateful for their hospitality and for including us. Brian was always expressing his love for Heidi, who was his best friend and partner for life, and his sons Blake and Brandon, whom he loved unconditionally. An experience that stands out in my mind about Brian happened at the Orami Tashlik service at the beach. I was hobbling along due to a sciatic nerve issue, and of course, Brian noticed my discomfort. Being the doctor he was, he recommended some unique method to ease the pain. I'll leave the rest to your imagination to what he prescribed. Needless to say, he wasn't recommending conventional medicine. Brian and I spent endless hours debating whether the LA Kings should tank in order to get a higher draft choice. We had numerous stimulating discussions regarding politics in our country today. I vow to you, Brian, to carry your political torch going forward. Brian, we love you. We will miss you dearly, but rest assured, I will communicate with you who the LA Kings drafted this year, and we will discuss whether that draft choice was a good one. As the King motto goes and chants, go Kings go. You, Brian, were truly a king.
Beautiful, thank you. I'll invite you to mute again. Congregation Orami is a musical singing community. And even now, as we're in our own homes, we're one community together and we sing. So whenever we put up the words, if you know them, even without that, we invite you to please feel free to sing along. Again, we ask you to remain muted. That's the request for this service, but sing in your own home. And let's make music all over. Sometimes when we are lost and we don't know what to do, when we're afraid of all that's coming ahead, when the world seems turned upside down, sometimes if you just don't know what words to do, sometimes you just close your mouth and you can listen.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. yourself. There's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way and listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, from the valley below. Can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes and listen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malachuto Leholam Voed. Listen to our God. Listen to our God.
I'd like to invite Brian's friend, Joel Green, to share a few words. Joel, if you'll unmute and speak.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sandy met Brian and Heidi about 4 years ago on a trip to Cuba. I didn't go on that trip, but a year when they came back, Brian, Heidi, Sandy and us, Sandy and me got together, and we got together and we kept getting together, and we became really, really close friends. We ate food together. We ate good food together. We played together. We drank together. And as the rabbi said, we also drank good tequila together. We had great conversation, Brian and I, quietly with each other about family, about life, and mostly about health. We shared some things together about health, but we were fortunate enough to, the last 2 years, be invited with them down to their place in Puerto Vallarta. And it was a remarkable week on each trip. And one thing I remember, and this is for Heidi, as we all sat around the pool and drank margaritas, I brought a small little football. And Brian loved football. He was a Ram. He bled Ram blood. And we always had to take the football into the pool and just throw it. He was the quarterback. I was the receiver. I was the quarterback. He was the receiver. We'd cross the pool. We'd do patterns. We'd do routes. And we really had a good time every day in the pool with this football, every day. The trip came last year. We went again. And I was reminded by Brian, please bring the football. I did. The first day into the pool, within about 2 minutes, we hear a scream. We hear a whistle. We hear, hey, you guys, stop playing football. Stop throwing the ball. We turn around, it's a big security guard. And he looks at me and he looks at Brian, he puts us together and he says, you guys see those other people in the pool? Yeah. You guys see that big swim up bar over there in the pool? Yeah. Did it ever occur to you that if somebody threw the ball wrong, somebody might get hurt? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, your game is over. I'm taking your ball. You guys get out of the pool and think about that. And so with our lips quivering, Brian and I, and Brian's the guy who was always the negotiator, but he couldn't do it on this time and on this trip. We got out of the pool, our chins are in our chest, we're looking down at each other, and that was the end of the game because the security guard took my ball and I could get it at the end of the trip. So Heidi, in Brian's honor, here's the ball. When I play catch with my grandkids, this ball is going to be called Brian's ball, and he will live on in our memories forever. We love you, babe. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you'll mute yourself again. It's my honor to invite his friend Brian Dell to unmute and please speak.
Hi. This loss is greater than any of us would ever have expected. Heart aches for all of us, and especially for Heidi and her boys and the family. As I was going through the pictures of all our trips together, over 10, it just brought back so many amazing memories and stories. Blake had asked me to send a few videos so he could hear his dad's voice. So I scrolled through all the years and found some that hopefully gave Blake a little comfort to hear his dad's voice and his laughter. Because we all know Brian's laughter from the belly was unmistakable. I think there's so many stories I could tell you about our trips. And yes, as the years went on, the bottles of scotch that we consumed at the beginning of the trips slowly declined as our age declined as well. But we still consumed our fair share. On one of the trips to Dallas, I'll remember Brian was going to navigate this trip for us because he always felt he was a great navigator. I went along with it. So as we left the bus at the bar after drinking all afternoon, heading to the game, it was his job to find out where we got off. However, he forgot to look. So when we got off at the stadium, we had nowhere to get picked up. So the game's over, it's dark out. Brian says, I'll figure this out, we go this way. Well, as we circled the entire stadium, we still didn't get back to where we needed to be. And there was no bus in sight. So we hailed the cab. As we got in the cab on the road, he tries to explain the cab driver where to go. Cab driver hands him believe it or not, a McNally Road Atlas. We couldn't have laughed harder. Two of us in our town, we have no idea where it is, and the cab driver gives us the map book. Well, we exited the cab, got out in the middle of the street. Brian said, I think I have this now. Well, we circled back. It turns out the place we needed to walk to was only 2 blocks up. And as in our normal fashion, we got back to the club where we started our trip. He looked at me, I looked at him. He said, can you drive? I said, no, Brian, I can't drive. Can you drive? No. So as normal, the car was left there after it took us over 2.5 hours to get to the club that was 2 blocks away. And we Ubered back to the hotel and joined in a few more drinks. Brian's laughter, our times together, and the memories I have, and the pain felt is the pain that you have from the gift of having the love that I was fortunate to share with Brian. And that'll never disappear. And I'll have that forever. I love you, Brian. You'll always be a part of my life. And I have years of pictures and memories that will allow me to stay in touch. God bless the family.
Thank you. Thank you. If you will mute again, I'd like to call forward his friend, Scott Cooper. Scott, if you'll unmute and speak.
You hear me okay? There are no words to describe Heidi June. There's no words to describe how devastating, heartbreaking it is to lose my best friend, a brother, and a family member. Our hearts go out to you in your time of need, now and always. I can talk about Brian for hours, about his qualities and virtues. From the first moment I met him at your house for men's night, it has been such an awesome journey with you, Heidi, Brandon, Blake, and your extended family. We treat them and became our family. Brian, you were taken from us much too soon. I will forever miss the way you greeted me at your door with such a big hug, the way you treated my children as your own, my wife like your sister. At the Passover and Thanksgiving table, your gratitude and blessings were expressed as one family. I will miss your passion and love for life, the way you light up a room with your laughter, warmth, and kindness. We shared so many incredible experiences together. One of my fondest memories was at Passover, where we beat each other with a green onion. By the way, that's a Persian thing. Like so many other occasions at your house. At your last birthday, I was so deeply touched by the love you radiated and truly how much Brian adored you, Heidi, and your family. To skip to something funny, I always got a kick that you knew not to sit in Brian's chair for a sports event on a TV in your house. We all knew the consequences. It was more fun watching Brian's excitement and passion for the game than the game itself. Heidi, we all want you to know the Coopers and Sweetelsons are always here for you, Brandon, and Blake for anything, anytime you need us. Your family. We take care of family. We love you so much.
Beautiful, thank you. If you'll mute again, I'd like to invite his last, finally in this group of friends, Mark Sweetelson, to share some words. Mark.
Thank you, Rabbi. Brian and Heidi, I'm sorry, were like the stories you hear about when a family gets reconnected from a DNA search. Brian and Heidi, Frida and I, we just hit it off. We've only known them for 7 or 8 years, but boy, when we first met, it was instant attraction. We just had everything to talk about. We felt like we had 40 years of life to catch up on. And Brian really was my brother from another mother. Brian and Heidi would call our boys and their 2 boys cousins. They were the 4 cousins. We always would do things together as family. We were at each other's July 4th houses for July 4th and Thanksgiving. And we were there for the Jewish holidays. We had Pesach together every year. We did the high holidays together. It really was like you found somebody that wasn't in your life all your life, and they were our family. They became our family. And it was just a blessing. It was a blessing that we were connected. But the most memorable get together was just last month when Brian and Heidi came over for Shabbat. It was really our last Shabbat together. We didn't know it at the time and couldn't have believed it if we thought about it now. But Brian really had a tough week. And Heidi said, you know what? He was actually thinking of canceling. It was just such a difficult week for both of them, but especially for Brian. And somehow Heidi convinced him that it really would be good for him to come. So he came over, and when he walked in, you could just tell it was not the Brian we all know. He really was depressed. He was dejected, and you could see it. And if you know Brian, which all of us do, Brian walks into the room and his face is lit up and he's got energy and he's got something to talk about for hours on end. And this was not that Brian. He was really very dejected. We used to have a drink together, as I think many of us did, or 2 or 3. And once the liver cancer set in, Brian stopped drinking. However, on this Shabbat last month, Brian said he could really use a drink. And we shared a scotch together, just like old time's sake. We lit candles and held hands and we hugged and we said the prayers, just the four of us. We talked and laughed. And when the evening was over, Brian said he was so happy he came over because it really lifted his spirits. Frida and I will treasure that Shabbat evening. And we'll just, as I'm speaking to you now, we're sitting at our table, and across the table was Brian, and I see him now, and just his energetic self that he was after the scotch and the hugging and the lighting of the candles. Brian was planning to attend APAC at the end of February, but decided it was not healthy for him to be on a plane or around so many people. Instead, he called me to discuss the UCLA basketball game that was going on that night. As many people have said, he talks a lot of sports. He didn't talk LA Kings to me. He talked UCLA. We talked football. We talked basketball. And we just loved it. We're always critiquing. We could critique everything related to them. But when he called me that night, one of the best things in the world happened. And I'm really grateful. And that was that I didn't answer his call. And instead, he went to voicemail. And now, every time I start thinking of Brian, I play my voicemail. And it starts off, hey, Brian. Brian starts off saying, hey, Marky. And then just goes on to leave me this very Brian-esque message. I couldn't be more appreciative of the fact that I didn't take a call, because now I've got Brian on my phone forever. Brian, my brother, Frida and I love you. We'll miss you in ways that words can't describe. And to Heidi and to Brandon and to Blake, you know, we're so blessed that you're in our family. We hurt like you guys do. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you. If you'll mute now, I appreciate it. When we set this up, and it's trying to figure out how to remember, memorialize someone so wonderful as Brian in so tragic a moment, is complicated, and it's been evolving. And just now we decided that while we can't have everyone speak here, we will do at other times. We'd like to invite, and he doesn't know this, but we'd like to invite, if he'd be willing to, his father-in-law, Fred Gindy, to just share a few words, maybe for just a couple of minutes, a story or two. Fred, are you out there where you can unmute?
Rabbi, I'm going to try and call him on the phone and hold it via speaker.
Okay, let's do that. Go ahead.
I don't see how to unmute. No, don't worry. You're on the speaker.
Oh, you know what? I can do one thing. Hang on 1 second. Let me see if I can unmute him. No, I can't. Okay.
You're on speaker, Dad.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I don't know how to put this in words. It's very difficult. To reach out and express my feelings. I'm sorry, I can't.
Oh, it's okay.
Grandpa. It's okay, Papa.
Okay. We'll invite, we'll hear from him. We'll send our virtual hugs to him. Blake, would you like to share some words?
It's incredible to me that there's almost 200 people here. Friends, family, and congregation. Many of you have shared wonderful memories with me and words of kindness. It's kind of hard for me to feel sad right now. I feel very full. There's definitely a hole that my father had left, but as you all know, my father was one of the most genuine people to walk this planet. And that's just one thing about my dad. he said he loved you, he loved you. If he said you were a good friend, you were a great friend. My dad never cheated anybody. My dad never did anything out of spite or wrong. And it's he's gonna leave quite the hole for a lot of us. Please, everybody, feel free to keep sharing your stories and your memories with us. Please keep the photos coming and the videos coming. And I can't thank you all enough from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. Heidi,
I can't do
Am I unmuted?
you're unmuted.
Okay. I don't have words to my community and my friends. There's people logged in from Israel. There's other countries. My friends, we've always treated our friends like family. And I see why. All of you are my family. I'm like watching this as somebody else's movie, but I want to say a heartfelt thank you to all of you. You've all reached out to me. I know I have lots of places to cry, to call, to ask for help. Rabbi Paul, what a tremendous tribute to what you've helped to make everybody connect. You're the stirrer of the pot, but yet we're all in the pot because of what you do and how you like to have everybody together. And okay, so there's always going to be Super Bowl Sunday in my house. Okay, happy birthday, Brian. There's always going to be 4th of July when there's not one room for one more noodle or one more person or one more shot of tequila. They'll all still be all that. And then we'll toast to Brian because he wouldn't like it if we didn't keep it going. He loved it. And so I toast to my husband, my soulmate. I'm sure all of you know who marries the same spouse 3 times. Brian loved me. And it wasn't a joke what we had. We had something really real. And I guess I should just be thankful that I had that. Not everybody does. And I'll miss him terribly. And I just want to say thank you to my congregation family for your outpouring of reach and love. And God bless all of you. Thank you.
Ask for a final Go Kings Go.
Oh, and Blake wants, I know everybody's muted, but the family here all wants to say, Go Kings.
Kings go!
Thank you. Thank you. We are in the middle of March. It's starting to get warmer. We should be shedding our long sleeves, going into shorts and t-shirts and running around, and yet we're in our homes. It's like we're in the middle of the winter. And the darkness is descending and the nights are longer and we're lost and alone. It's like we're without our beloveds, and we are without Brian. Cantor Doug taught us that even in the winter, even in the midst of December, if we remember, it's like finding a rose in December.
You who gather here, crying silent tears, because you cannot talk to me. You can remember I am here, though I am gone. Dust to dust, life goes on. Think of me, I will become a rose in December, in December. In your thoughts and in your sight, I am eternal light. Hold the torch against the night, and you will remember. In the flame are many sparks, touching lives beyond the dark. By my deeds, I've left my mark. A rose in December. If you remember, I'll be a rose. If you remember, I'll be a rose. A rose that blooms in December. So say the words that must be said, prayer for beloved dead. And as our precious tears are shed, we shall remember. Death and loss are what we pay for finding love along the way. A gift forever, sweet bouquet. A rose in December. If you remember, I'll be a rose. If you remember, I'll be a rose. If you remember, I'll be a rose. A rose that blooms in December.
So here we are. We've made it to the first day. It's been a little over 24 hours since he's been gone. More than that. And we can't imagine how the world can go on. This week's parashah, this week's Torah portion is Vayikra. We're starting a whole new book this week of the Torah. It's as if what happened before is important, but we need to stop because we have to find a whole new way of living forward. In the Torah, we begin Vayikra. It's called the Leviticus. It's called the section of the Torah that includes the laws of the sacrifice. It's about how the Kohanim will lead us forward. Much of it is a statement, a description of all the sacrifices that people will make. Sin offerings and shalom, homeless offerings and thanksgiving offerings and the like. It reads, especially the beginning, like a fantastic barbecue. I imagine Brian out there serving or making sure we were served with that delicious barbecue. But more, if you read Vayikra, it's really inviting us that when we want to bring an offering to the Holy One, to God, an offering of holiness to the Holy One, we need to not only bring whatever that item is, but we have to have the kavanah, the intention. We need to bring ourselves. When I think of that and all those laws that talk to us about focusing ourselves, and I think today, as we think about Brian, I laugh a little bit because Brian was nothing if not putting his whole self forward. He brought himself to every encounter with every person at every moment. He ensured that we knew he loved us, he was with us, and it was me and him and you and you and you talking and connecting. Look at just in the few people who spoke about these remarkable friendships he had with so many. How many of you considered him one of the people you were close to and connected to in such deep and meaningful ways? I see so many hands going up. We admired him for his ability to connect people into community. We admired him for his sense of humor, for his love of family, for his love of community. You should know that he warmed his way into our heart when, after a particularly difficult period in the synagogue, he stepped up, he and Heidi, and said, this is our community, and we want to support it and help it to grow and flourish. And he connected in with people and supported us, and spending those trips with them was so meaningful. So soon we'll say Kaddish and we'll move forward, beginning the new normal, starting a new book of Torah, the Torah of memory of Brian, instead of living with Brian physically here. We have a responsibility, Kehillah Kadosha, this holy community. Our responsibility is to love and support Heidi and Brandon and Blake and the whole family as they walk this path of mourning. Judaism teaches that it takes the better part of a year. They have to go through the first birthday without him, and anniversary, and Pesach, and Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, and Thanksgiving, and all the festivals, and all the experiences, and the Masters tournament, and the Super Bowl, and game after game after game of the Kings without him. So what do? It doesn't end here. As I like to say to people, when you get off this meeting, open up your calendar, your date book, your smartphone, and mark a date a week from now, and 2.5 weeks from now, and a month from now, and 3 months from now, and 5 months, and 7 months, 9 months, a year. Mark the date, mark Brian's name on it. And when that comes up, get in touch with whomever in the family you're close to, or even those you don't know as well. You might send them a text or an email, ideally sharing with them a story about Brian or something he did that you remember that keeps him warmly in your heart. Or you can say, I was thinking about Brian and I was thinking about you. Maybe you can share a story with me, so together we can remember. I want you to imagine that there's a circle, and in the center of that circle is his family, his wife and children, his siblings and mother, his brother-in-law, sister-in-law, nieces and nephews, Alicia, his in-laws. They're the primary mourners of this, even though we all lost. Our job as those surrounding them is to send our pain out to the people outside of that inner circle. Let them help us. But we share in our love and our affection and our support. Let us take care of them if and when they're able to take it. Let's not have them have to take care of us. In a minute, we'll say Kaddish. It's a prayer of memory, a prayer that we say when we remember our loved ones. It's also a prayer that speaks about life. It's a praise of the source of life, that Holy One that Rebbe Nachman was always trying to connect to. It's a reminder that even in the face of the darkest times, even in the face of the loss of a loved one, even in the face of death, there's still blessing and goodness in this world. And our job is to keep counting those blessings and keep telling the stories and keep remembering and keep saying words of praise of life until we get to the point where we feel it wholeheartedly again. That time will come. Over time, our body will create with scar tissue a basket to hold our broken hearts. And then we'll be able to walk forward together. So I'm going to ask you, if you will, to please rise now, if you're able to. And together, we'll say Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divera chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lolmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shloma Rabbah min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel and all the world, as together we say, amen. You may be seated. If you're with others, hold your loved ones close. We'll conclude with Hashkivenu, an evening prayer, thanking God, asking, beseeching God to watch over us as this darkness descends on the day as we feel alone. Brian was a good soul. We will remember him in many ways as we talk to each other and share the stories, as we gather together and say his name at Kaddish time. Congregation Or Ami, with the support of the families, creating the Brian Padveen Memorial Fund at Congregation Or Ami, which will ensure that the things he loved continue. The spiritual source, searching, the learning of Torah, adult travel, events that bring people together to connect. Maybe even some sports that we're going to have to discuss what teams we're going to root for. I don't want to break up the congregation over that issue. We are a community of caring, a home away from home. Let's hold our loved ones close, and we'll sing together Hashkivenu, a prayer of love.
Hashkivenu Adonai Elohei l'shalom, l'shalom. Ha'amidei shomrenu l'chayim. Ufrosale sukat shlomecha, ufrosale nu sukat shlomecha.
Hold your loved ones close, closer than close. We don't control what happens in our world. We can do our best to make the pain a little bit easier. The rabbis teach that by connecting in with others, particularly those who are ill or struggling, we take away 1/60th of their pain. Don't try to get the right words to make this better. There aren't words that can make this better. The only thing that could make this better is to have one more hour, one more minute with Brian. But what we do have is the possibility of sharing stories and loving. Hold his memory close. Hold your loved ones close. That's a prayer and a blessing for today. And we conclude by singing.
Amen, 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 amen,
Good night. Thank you. Call some friends, some loved ones to connect in.
Bye, all.